Good morning. My name is Andy Texter. I am here to talk to you about some of the issues at the library here at Purdue. Before I forget, are there any markers up here? I'm going to write a little something up here. Well, when you saw that, don't let me forget about that at the end of this presentation. So, I don't know how many of you have been to the library. By show of hands, did any of you go to the library to do studying? Okay, good. I didn't know if you, as I did this, I found out a lot of people don't do their studying in the library. So, when I think of a library, I think of it as like a quiet place I can go to, well, in general, and that has functioning equipment and that has flexible hours. When I didn't realize that the hours were so restricted until I started getting kicked out and the lights were getting turned off on me and stuff like that. So these are the three things that I remember a library to be, but in speaking with the director and with the way things are, of course, libraries have kind of evolved, especially being in a college setting. They don't want it to be, shushing everybody and stuff like that. They want you to feel comfortable. Some of the current conditions, I started out with the broken keyboards because it really is like my biggest pet peeve that there are no keyboards that have both the pegs in the back. And so when you go to write, they sit flat. But I also wanted to include a couple other things that I found issues there, which like the restricted hours and some of the crazy distractions that you find in there. Now some of this may apply to you, so I'm not trying to offend anybody, and it really doesn't bother me that much, but for some people I could see it being a problem, and I just get up and move. So, for me it's okay. But it is an issue. So, the restricted hours, right now, I had to ask them like 4 times, because I keep forgetting what time they close at odd hours. So right now, Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, they're open 8 to 10. Fridays 8 to 5, Saturday 10 to 2, and Sundays 12 to 8. I don't think that's sufficient. I'll talk more. I talked to the librarian and why this is, but to me, I would feel much more comfortable if I just knew it was always there. A lot of students can't make it at these times. A lot of us have jobs and come to school at night and things like that. If there were longer hours there, I think maybe it would encourage even more work, because if you want to say, oh, I forgot to do this paper, but the library's closed, what are you going to do? And there's less stress because, when I'm trying to type a paper, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to hurry up because the library's going to close. So, these are the 3 distractions. Well, not actually the 3. These are some of the distractions. People bring babies in there, which is cool. I mean, I understand that, you have kids and you have to get your studying done, but like crying babies, you think that maybe they would think, hey, maybe I should go outside and comfort my kid and maybe move somewhere else. Maybe this isn't the time to be there. People doing this is for real. I mean, I've seen people with steak dinners and knives and forks and like wine and stuff. Maybe that's pushing it, but and then the thing with smells is, I was looking it up, and smell is like one of the strongest sensories that we have, and there was a study that showed if you're sitting in a library and you're studying really hard, and all of a sudden you get a whiff of somebody's food, you are subconsciously, the rest of the time, thinking about what you're going to have for dinner. I mean, you might not be thinking about it right in front of your mind, but in the back of your head, you're wondering, what's going on for dinner tonight. This is me with the keyboards, literally. I'm not even kidding. Until I go in there and I have to look through all the computers, walk up and down the aisles, and try and find a keyboard that has 2 pegs on it. It has been proven that the raised keyboards do help in proficiency when typing, and also help less stress on your hands. And I literally go to the library just to use those keyboards. So when I go in there and I need to type a 5-page paper and I can't find one that has 2 pegs on the back, that just doesn't make any sense to me, considering that we keep up with our technology here, so that kind of surprises me. So, pardon me. What does the library say about this? I talked to Tammy Guerrero, she's the library director. She had a lot of information to say. Again, I didn't want to offend her, so I didn't want to, I wasn't trying to complain, I just wanted to find out. And she basically came down and said that it comes down to budget cuts, really, with the hours, that you can't just have a grad student there. There has to be a certified librarian to watch over. So she said with the cost of the lights and everything like that, that it's unjustifiable. And also that there are GITE labs that are open, which I didn't know of. So this is a big thing for me. I had no idea that there was other places. And they say they do continual studies on how, like, you know, how many people are there and how to justify it. The keyboards, she wasn't even aware of the issue. The aides clean it every night, so I don't see how hard it would be to check the back of those and maybe keep an update. And she said they're on like a 3-year plan, so they couldn't really spend the money on it until it was there. The distractions, she said it's really, you know, controversial. You can't, it's a hard line to draw about who's being loud and who's not, but they're supposed to shush people. She said that I have the right to shush people, but nobody is going to do that. I mean, no one's going to do that. And she says the librarians are supposed to kind of keep people, but they never do that. And she said it's probably because they're behind the circulation desk and they can't see anything, which is true. You never see the librarians actually walking around. I've never seen a librarian go up to a group of kids that are hanging out, you know, causing a big thing and say, hey, can you guys, I've never seen that. And I've been going, and to take it back a second, I've been going to the library every day probably, well, 5 days a week probably for the whole time I've been here, because I just feel comfortable there and I feel like I get the most work done there. I should have mentioned that earlier. So what's the solution? I think they should extend the hours anyways. I mean, I don't know, there's got to be something. I mean, the library is like a place for me to go where I feel like I get the most work done. I don't know if that GITE lab has, you know, is big. You know, it's just not the same. The library, I feel like I'm in an environment where everybody else is doing the same thing as me, and it kind of isn't conducive to learning. They should maybe, she says that they, you know, do evaluations, maybe they should reevaluate it, especially on like finals week and stuff like that. We were getting kicked out of the building left and right, like this week. You know, police were coming in and saying, "You guys got to get out of the building." You know, like we're trying to, you know, work on a group project here. This is the only place we work. And the biggest thing is, if there are other places, make people aware of it. You know, put a notice somewhere that says, "Hey, we're closing, but there's GITE labs that you can go into, or there's, you know, these other labs." I had no idea. You know, this is my senior year, and I never knew that those GITE labs were open. The distractions, maybe send out an email or something, or like when counting the people, maybe supervise all those distractions. You know, maybe post just a notice when you walk in, just to remind people that it is a library and there are some expectations. So the keyboards, use better sustainable equipment, replace when needed, and inspect them. So I was going to ask you guys, how many of you are stressed out right now with finals week? What level, I mean, how many above 5 would you say? Above your stress, between 1 and 10, what would be, how many of you are stressed out above a 5? Okay. Well, this is just a quote. How student stress can contribute to compromised mental health, unrealized potential, and in extreme cases, loss of life. Bang your head. We don't need more stress. Last thing is, there's got to be a middle ground. We don't need this, where this guy's typing LOL, and the librarian's telling them, not so L, you know, as in laughing. So I think there should be some kind of middle ground. I think it could be, I think a resolution could be come to. Thank you everybody for your time. Let's be on the board. I guess that 13 of you would say that you had a stress level 5 or higher. Forget how many it was.
How many of you guys have your hands up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's pretty good number actually. It's almost everybody.
That's it.
Good job.